Ignacio COF. My topic is human embryonic stem cell research. My main claim is that human embryonic stem cell research, although it's highly controversial, it represents the future relief or cure for a wide range of common disabilities and ailments. It is also more efficient than adult stem cell research, and it repairs cells unlike any conventional drug therapy available. Currently, my grandmother, she's in the initial stages of Parkinson's disease, which obviously there's no cure for. So this is the reason why I chose this topic, because it's really important for me to, for technology to find cures for diseases like that. Basically, human embryo stem cells are stem cells extracted from an embryo that are either taken two ways, from donors or from couples that are infertile, which basically they won't be able to procreate. And they do this at the 4th day of conception. This process was developed in 1998 after years of experimenting with mice. According to the June 6, 2013 article of Science Daily, it is more promising than the traditional adult stem cell research because embryo cells are able to reproduce themselves into any of the 220 cell types in our body. Human embryonic stem cell research is a pioneer method of cell replication. Adult stem cells, also known as somatic, have a limited time span and can only replicate from whatever part of the body they're extracted. So they're more limited. The main reason for advocating for this type of research is potential that it holds. According to humanresearching.org, these stem cells have the ability to become new organs, new blood cells, and even ligaments. Now I will present you my 3 supporting claims. The first is that nearly 1/3 of the population can benefit from treatment like this. The second one is that unlike adult stem cells, embryonic stem cells can be replicated into 220 cells. And the third one is that the human embryo stem cell can potentially eliminate the need for organ transplants in the future. Okay, so my first claim, nearly 1/3 of the population can benefit from treatments that originate from stem cell research. According to healthresearch.org, stem cells are thought to be the key to unlock many diseases such as Alzheimer's and even genetic disorders. Scientists have been able to replicate cancer cells in order to kill cancer cells, and they believe that by applying this method, it could alleviate human suffering, just like even better than the development of antibiotics. Another field that's benefiting from this is pediatrics. In this field, human embryo stem cell research has demonstrated the capability of combating diseases like leukemia, some types of hydrocephaly, and type 1 diabetes. According to American Diabetes Association, HESC cells have demonstrated the capability of replicating insulin-producing B cells, which basically, according to the ADA, these findings have the potential for future cell replacement in therapy for diabetes. Patients with type 1 diabetes are incapable of producing these cells, which regulate the sugar levels in the blood. My second claim is that embryonic stem cells can be replicated into 220 different cells in the body. According to Carrie Wolnitz from the National Institute of Health, Associate Director for Science Policy, embryo stem cells adapt to new environments, allowing researchers to study basic biology or use it as a tool in a way that can't be replicated with adult tissue. Embryonic stem cells are different than adult stem cells because they also might contain diseases and therefore not be able to be used for treatment. Unlike embryonic stem cells, they can become any type of cell in the body. However, they are believed to be limited in differentiation only because they only replicate the type of the portion of the body where it's extracted from. My third and final claim is that human embryo stem cell research can potentially eliminate the need for organ transplants. One of the most prominent examples is that of hockey legend Gordie Howe, who suffered a stroke at the age of 86, and after that, his health declined drastically. He started suffering from heart disease, dementia, spinal stenosis, and he ended up submitting himself after advice from several doctors to a experimental stem cell treatment. He recovered very well. The only thing, this treatment was done in a foreign country. 78 Americans receive organ transplant daily. 18 of them will not survive. And even the ones that survive, they have to take medication for the rest of their life for post-graft reactions. I understand that this is one of the biggest arguments against HEC research is the ethical part, the respect for human life. But the fact of the matter is that an embryo develops a certain central nervous system after day 14, and so it's not considered a suffer. In summary, my proposition claim is that the human embryo stem cell research is more advantageous than the adult stem cell research and any other drug therapy. I said claim number one, nearly 1/3 of the population can benefit from this. Number two, embryonic stem cells are free of diseases and they can eliminate the need for organ. Thank you.
All right, well, the topic's identified. The proposition, you label it, but it's kind of complex and it has multiple parts to it, so that's a little bit problematic. I thought at first that you were going to be previewing at that same time, but that's not what happened. Instead, you gave us some background information on stem cells, which was okay. I think that's reasonable to present, but it does take you 2 minutes to finally get to a preview of what the main argument's going to be, which I think means that that material is going to be a little bit light in terms of detail. You do signpost what the secondary points are going to be, and you label them reasonably clearly on those particular points. I do think that there are a lot of assumptions that don't get clearly explained. For example, on the first point you mentioned that there's a potential for 1/3 of the people who have illnesses or problems to be assisted by this. When? I think that's an important question because as far as I know, except for your example of Gordie Howe, who apparently was cured of whatever disease he had by going overseas and getting stem cell treatments, I don't see here any evidence that says that this is currently being applied, that we can do any of the things that are being described, especially, for instance, when you're talking about organ transplants. I haven't heard of any hearts being grown in petri dishes or, kidneys that they have manufactured and then put in people. So this seems like it's very speculative at the moment. So part of the controversy might have to do with how much time, money, energy we're spending on these resources and whether or not there are other things that could be more productive in the meantime. I think that might be where the conflict is. You mentioned the ethical conflict at the end of the presentation, but that of course is a value argument for the most part as opposed to an issue of fact. Once again, on the second point, it seems to me like more it's an explanation of what the potential of this is and how it would work. I'm not sure what the argument is. There aren't people who say it doesn't hold this promise. There are people who suggest that there might be other things that are just as promising, or, for example, that maybe some of the things can be done with adult stem cells. You dismissed the adult stem cells, suggesting that they're not pluripotent, and I think that that's one of the issues that over the past few years there's been a lot of research on to try and adjust that. I don't know what the current status is, but the last thing I remember hearing when I heard a presentation like this is that there were substantial breakthroughs so that they could do exactly the same kinds of things with adult stem cells and eliminate the ethical issue that was going on. The potential organ transplant, again, this is, theoretical. The only proof that you have is this reference to Gordie Howe. And by the way, it's not a direct quote. I didn't get a source on that. I'm not saying that you made it up, but I would like to know who determined that he had recovered. And by the way, he's not still around. He's dead, right? So I don't know how much he recovered on these particular issues. That seems like it would be something that we need a little bit of detail on. If you're trying to convince us that this is the wave of the future and your example is this one particular example, then we need a lot more information about that example. All right, thank you.